From the platform of 10%, I would like to welcome you to this webinar, which will be extremely amazing. So I am Nida Farid. I have been working in Sweden for more than 2 years now. I'm currently attached to a Swedish-based company, 2550 Engineering, which is a child company of Camcom. I'll be moving towards a Norwegian-based company as a cloud architect from 1st of October. This journey has been amazing so far just because I never stop sharing my knowledge with the people. I'm not a victim of curse of knowledge where I think that what I know, everyone knows. So you guys are here today with me to understand what cloud technology actually is and why are we moving ahead towards this line. So number one, I would like to share the self-expansion theory. Self-expansion theory actually is that you are surrounded with a very positive environment where people believe in you. And when people believe in you, you work unexpectedly better than you are hoping for yourself. So try to maintain a very friendly and a very appreciative environment around you. Audit your environment. Try to neglect the negative people from your life. Just push them away or keep yourselves away from them in order to succeed and flourish like a flower. Okay, now it's time for a quiz. Just gear yourself up and I'll be asking you very basic questions regarding the cloud. Okay, and the quiz starts now. And I was kidding. It was just an announcement that in the end, you will be given a quiz of just 3 simple questions. The winner of the quiz, or the highest scorer, I would say, will get a chance to have a one-to-one mentorship with me, where we will discuss where this field of cloud is going globally, what sort of DBs are being used, what is DevOps, and how you can achieve the jobs in European industry, which I would refer specifically because as of now, I understand that what is the demand and what is the supply in this sort of industry. And the stakes of getting a job here is very high. Plus, if you can't come here at once, you can work from home for a specific amount of time. And then you can move to Sweden or any European countries and work hybridly. So listen very carefully to the slides or to the information that I share because it can help you win in the end. The agenda of our today's session is to discuss and to make you understand why is this innovation necessary? What was the need that we are moving towards these sort of technologies? What is the need that the job ratio in these technologies is increasing so rapidly? And what is the need to just let go our traditional stuff? Then we'll discuss the why, what, and how of CosmosDB, why it was formed, what sort of feature does it have, and how we can achieve that scalability, availability, reliability, resiliency, and security by using this CosmosDB. And in the end, I will let you know that how much big of companies are using these technologies. Okay, just to set the mindset. So you understand the worth of data and you understand that why is this so necessary to now move ahead of time. Okay, so as part of the report of 2020, there are 6,000 tweets per second. Understandable, because this 6,000 to us sounds like a small number. If you then move on, it makes 350,000 tweets per minute. It's a big number now. Then 500 million tweets sent each day globally, which makes 200 billion tweets per year. And most of us doesn't even know that how many zeros are in a billion because it's a very huge number. It means that 6,000 tweets per second are made. People are interacting with each other. People are tweeting. If one person is tweeting, it means that the other is commenting on it or reposting it. Where does this number go in the next 5 years? As you all know that how our next generation is completely involved in these software devices, these technologies, smartphones, tablets, laptops. Where is this number going to go? And how are we going to handle such a big amount of data? Let's open up. Please scan the code and let me know that what you think about it. You have 1 minute to answer this. It's not a quiz, it's a very friendly question because, as I shared with Amna, that how COVID has turned our lives. I was a person when I moved to Sweden, I was continuously poking my manager that I want to visit the office. And he was continuously replying me in the same way that I have a very good setup at home. Because in European countries and or in Western countries, people were already used to working from home. But in our country, we realized that this can also be done only when COVID arrived. I hope you guys have answered this question and I'll check what has happened. Okay, so the result shows most of the people have selected option number C. Okay, so you want to go out sometimes because people at home likes you. That's good, and that is very interesting. Okay, now we are moving towards our basic question why we are here. That why Cosmos DB? What was the need of it? As we already have a mindset behind it that the ratio of data is increasing very rapidly. So what happens is the data is exploding. The data is increasing 5x every year. And as per the report, 90% of the data, the global data has just been arrived in the last 2 years. This is basically because of the smart devices that we are currently using. Modern architecture changes data analytics requirement. Now, what happens is that we as a person or we as a company want something out of the data as well. We are not just storing the data. We are also putting machine learning algorithm. We are also putting the insights of it that in order to increase the performance of our company and in order to increase the performance of our software or any application that we are using. It means that if my company say has launched an application or if my, let's take an example of Volvo cars. They are designing a car and they are collecting the data of that car every second. Why are they doing that? They don't just need to store the speed of the car, the age of the person who is driving the car, uh, how many times the wheels are spinning, what happens, how many jerks the car is having. They are keeping all this data. Why? The question is, why are they storing all this data? They are storing it because they can analyze it and then improve the performance of their next model. So we need to understand that this data is not just becoming the bricks in our database. These are becoming the base of our company. These are becoming the base of our application. So we can bring improvement. The rapid change of data in the DevOps environment. I have heard and I have seen the pictures that you all, most of you have been in the DevOps Con arranged by 10 Pearls on 17th of September. So what did you understand there? The development and operations are now combining. People are dealing in blue-green deployments. It means that while their application is running, they are continuously making the changes in their at the back end. And when the changes have been made, as per the report they are getting, they are deploying the application where they have made the change, and the application in the blue-green deployment, the other ones comes down in the development section, and they are start improving that part of the application. It means that continuous innovation is very important. In the modern application, the scenario is that most of the applications have already 1 million plus users. The data has gone beyond our limits. First, as a student, we have already only heard about the gigabytes, terabytes, the megabytes. What happened is now that data is moving from terabytes to petabytes. The locality is global. Everyone wants their application or their company or their business to run globally. We don't want these boundaries for our business right now. No one is ready to face or to afford this performance latency. We want our customers to have the best user experience. As soon as they click the link, they get the results. As soon as they want to move forward, they get the required pages or the required information which was supposed to be there. And most of us, even including me, the reason that I was so much interested in cloud was that I want to go in, or I want my customer, my company to play in the pay as you go model. I just want to pay for the space or to pay for the equipments, the necessities, the server, the space that I am utilizing. I don't want to pay on first hand. Means I am not interested, or no one is interested to pay in the capital interest. Okay, now I am going to quote an example here. Once a container ship was stuck in the Suez Canal. What happened is that the authorities at that time only had these small excavators to release the ship. That was the time when everyone realizes that this one size fits all approach is no longer going to work. This ship was then stuck for the next 6 days, causing billions of dollars of loss for the country, for the businesses, because the ship was stuck in a horizontal position. And when the ship was stuck, no other ship could pass. So let's suppose that there are some edibles in other containers or in the ship as well. There are some animals or anything that they are supplying which couldn't wait for that long to stay in the sea or to stay in those containers. Everything was rotten. The business was stuck. You are facing the double loss. Your business is stuck, and now then you have to pay for the loss as well because the equipment in those containers were completely destroyed. When you choose the right database, it makes your company excel very rapidly. You can scale faster. Your team can focus on innovation instead of focusing on how much burden is coming on board. And you have the time to accelerate with the market right place at the right time. So this is what you need to do before starting a business or before moving towards new technology. You need to understand that what are you expecting from it, and what is that technology expecting, what sort of expertise that technology is expecting from you. So there is a sync in both. It's a give and take. It's not only like that you are moving towards the cloud and you are moving cloud DB, so you want to excel. It also means that you need to have that knowledge that what is that technology going to do. Otherwise, instead of excelling or instead of growing your company, you will face very bad consequences. So my advice to everyone is, to these small businesses, big businesses, that please understand which path you are selecting and what are you going to get when you reach your goal. As per my experience so far, because I have been working with Microsoft Azure for more than 5 years now, I think that Cosmos DB is the right tool for the right job. Okay, now we have another fun question. Please go on and answer it. You have 1 minute. If the link is not working for you, you can just enter the code and answer the question. I want to know that which databases have you worked in your past or you are still working in, because I know that in our universities, we are still following the traditional databases, which are the relational one. So I want to know that how far have we been in the last 2 years? Yes, Hassan, if you can unmute, if you want to say something. Okay.
Actually, the rest of the people don't have the access to their mics or cameras, but I can like
Okay.
give them access if they want to talk to you.
Or you can just type your question in the chat. No problem.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay, guys, I will reveal the answer soon. Let's move on. Now we understand why we need to use Cosmos DB. The need is that the data is exploding. We are moving towards DevOps, and the usage of these smart devices is increasing, I think, every minute now, not every day. When we search for Cosmos DB, the two terms that suddenly appears on the screen is globally distributed and multimodal database service. Now we are going to explore and we are trying to understand what this globally distributed is and what is the meaning of this multimodal database. Why is this database so different from other databases? Okay, so with multimodal, you will get this image all over the internet that it can consume MongoDB, Gremlin, Cassandra, Azure Table Storage, SQL APIs, etc. Everything can be involved in Cosmos DB. I will help you understand the basis of this multimodal, how this works, what it actually is, which will help you absorb the fact that why people or why these huge mega companies have starting using this Cosmos DB. Okay. Now focus on the image. This is an app A different app. This is an app B, a completely different app, and app C, an entirely different app. App A was using MongoDB because it has a certain structure of data which only MongoDB absorbs. App B is using Cassandra. App C is using the SQL Server. When you use the data migration tool, you can transfer the data of all these apps to Cosmos DB. It just points our brain that Cosmos DB was able to absorb or to adjust or to set these three different sort of data in itself. It means that it is capable of transforming itself into a multi-model DB. It has several different sort of models and can support different sort of data structures. What happens is that then you start using or my instead of using the migrator, you are uh, directly connecting your app A to Cosmos DB, app B to Cosmos DB, app C to Cosmos DB. It means that they have different data structures, but Cosmos DB can facilitate all of these. Now what happens is that Cosmos DBs have four sort of data structure in this. The column wise, the key value, document in which you have different hierarchies, and the graph data structures. When you are using the column wise, you are simply replacing the MS SQL Server. Using the key value, you are simply replacing the Cassandra. When you are adjusting the document type of data in it, you are replacing the MongoDB. And when you have a graph type of data, you are replacing Gremlin. Now, this is what multi-model actually means, that it has multi-model structures in it and can adjust any sort of data. Then we move towards globally distributed. The first term, it's all clear how it is multimodal because it can absorb different sort of data structures in it. Now moving towards the globally distributed. Globally distributed, in very simple terms, we can understand that whatever Azure regions are available, Cosmos DB is available in all those regions. While using cloud, you can use that Cosmos DB in all the regions globally. How? Your data is geo-distributed. Let's suppose that you have selected the field of geo-distribution while storing your data, that I need my data to be highly available and I cannot afford latency. Now, your data is in East US, and it's in West US. You say that when my user do the read and write operation, the data goes in the East US part. And when my user wants to read the data from the West side, it will read from the West US. How? When you are writing in the East US part, the data continues to replicate in the West US, which means it's globally distributed because you selected geo distribution. Now moving toward the next image, so data replication from both sides. Then you say that if my user is from New York, if the user reads or writes, the data will be written and read from the East US part. And if my user is in Seattle, the same operation will be done by using the West US part. This means that you will use less energy of your data, less are used to read or for the read or write operation. You will have to face less latency while doing the operation. Simple. When you set your data in East US primarily, what happens is that your East US is your primary database. Keep this example in your head. East US was your primary database at this time. The data is being replicated to your secondary database, replica 1, replica 2, replica 3, 4, how much replica you want to have. Majorly people have 6. Now what is the concept of failover here? When the application is doing the create, read, update or delete, the CRUD operation, the data was on first hand going to your primary database. The primary database is then replicating the data to all of other databases. What if a tsunami came, the earthquake came, or something bad happens in that region, and the database and the data house gets destroyed? What happens at that point is, where will your data go? Your data will start going toward the read replica 1, and your read replica 1 became your primary database unless this database is still having the disaster recovery phases or still under deployment. When everything is done, your primary database comes back in position. Now all of this might be happening on the back end, and you won't even know that what happens to your databases. All you know is that your data was highly available. This data was facing no latency. You have that disaster recovery feature here. This is all you know. And this is what I'm trying to make you understand the advantages of using these cloud DBs, that you don't have to worry about anything. Even if there was a fire in the data house, in the warehouse, even if it completely get destroyed, that city is no more existing, that country is no more in existence, it has removed from the map, there is none of your problem. All you have to worry is how your application is working, and all you have to worry is how you are sending your data to the cloud. And then it's the responsibility of the cloud provider or the DB provider, the third party, to take care of that. And you are just paying as you go. You are paying for the resources, for the space that you are utilizing. Okay, now third part. Here I want to talk about your concentration span. How much you can concentrate, because I can notice that now it's already 40 minutes past our presentation. I don't know how so much time has passed, but I really enjoyed sharing this knowledge so far. Now I want to know what is your concentration span. Please let me know. You have 1 minute. Okay, we are getting the answers. Okay, as expected. So I think most of you are still in the universities or have just moved toward the job line, because 90% of the people are still familiar with our beloved SQL. It's not bad, it's really good because it helps us understand the structure of DB, how does it work, the query language, because anyways we are going to use the same language with some improvements or improvisations. So yes, so SQL is good, but I want you all to understand and to know that the world has moved ahead of it. Now there are so many type of DBs. If you move towards AWS, there is DynamoDB and 10 other sort of DBs. If you are working with Microsoft, you have MongoDB, this can send to other SQL APIs. All these third parties are helping the cloud and their customers to scale. Now we'll move towards by this picture, you will understand what I was trying to say. If your data is geo-distributed, it means we are again taking an example of East US and West US, and the user is doing the read and write operation in East US. What if the East US region fails? What happens then if the West US becomes your primary region? So there is no harm to you. And people, after this session, please try to open this Cosmos DB, and it will open certain links where you will understand that what is happening to your data right now. We are way ahead of that SQL and its queries. No doubt it's still the best, but we need to understand what sort of new services are now deployed and how you can take advantage of it. And then you can suggest to your manager or to your professor, your teacher, your head of department as well, that please conduct some session on it. We need to understand all this because these are very basic questions which will be asked from you when you appear in any interview. Okay. Now we are moving towards the Cosmos DB's resource model. What is the hierarchy there? We need to understand it. You have one Azure account. That Azure account might have different DBs of different countries or any way that you want to keep it. And those TVs have different sort of collections. Like in USA, they are keeping the collection of customer, the account, the transaction. Same in your university, there is one university. There are different departments. Different departments are teaching different subjects, and different subjects you are enrolled in very different manner. In some subjects you have chosen electively, some are compulsory, and then they are keeping your data as well in the form of JSON records. Cosmos DB is incredible in ways when it comes to latency. It has less than 10 milliseconds, which makes it 99% percentile. 10 milliseconds, we I have just spent many seconds on just thinking how to explain 10 milliseconds. Now understand how shorter of a time span it is. Cosmos TV is highly available. It has the availability of 5 nines, 99.999% available. This job cannot be done from our very loving safeguard as well, because it just kills 99.99 bacteria and one is always left behind. With Cosmos TV, it is more efficient than our safeguard. It is 99.999% available. The throughput is guaranteed. The consistency is guaranteed. In the next slide, I will try or I will help you understand what throughput actually is. So while designing your Cosmos DB, one thing in order to achieve the throughput and the scalability, one thing which is very much necessary, that you need to understand the importance of a partition key. What a partition key is. Let me just give an example here, that you are working in an organization and you have been given an employee ID. Yes, I think this is a perfect example. You have an employee ID. The company set your employee ID as partition key. It means that whatever information they are going to get about you from the company, be it your salary, be it your medical records, be it from your FDs that you are already keeping in your company, be it your performance, your promotions, whatever will be done, that uh, action will be taken on the basis of your employee ID. So your employee ID must be set as your partition key, because when we set a partition key, we set the number of RUs that the request units that will be used in order to obtain that data, in order to have that data to extract it from that database. Now, what are request units? Try to build a structure in your head. Now, your employee ID is your partition key. I say that whatever your partition key is, it will try to decrease the request units. What are the request units? Request unit basically is the percentage of memory, the percentage of CPU, and the percentage of input and output operation that are spent to extract that data from the database, or that are spent to create some data in that database. Your get, post, put query. In simple words, you can say the CRUD operation, the create, delete, update. All of these operations, when you do, you consume some request units. For a very lighter example, I would say that when you are reading the data from the database, if you use one request unit, you use 5 when you are writing the data in that database. I hope that this has made you imagine that reading from a database is an easier task, because the data is already there. You are filtering the data or querying the data on the basis of that partition key. While writing the data is a new task, that then you have to insert something. So it will use 5 RUs, and when you are reading the data, it will use 1 RU. Why are we so much focusing on this request unit? Because these request units helps you to achieve the throughput, and that throughput will help you to achieve the scalability for your database. In the middle of this presentation, I will, with the help of an example, I will try to tell you what is the difference between a SQL and a NoSQL database. On your left-hand side, you can see the NoSQL structure, and on your right-hand side, you can see the SQL structure. The NoSQL structure basically doesn't mean that it doesn't have any structure, but it means that this is very flexible. Why? Because 90% of you are aware of this SQL structure, you know that how hard code it is. There is a certain number of columns in which you can insert data, and you cannot play with it. You cannot insert any other field unless you have a separate column for it. But in the NoSQL form, this is very flexible. With a partition key, with your employee ID 101, we were saving the person's email, his name, and his telephone. With the employee 103, the company came to know that the employee has 2 telephone numbers. So it will say 2 telephone numbers. So this is a very flexible sort of, it is structured. In the back end, it is structured. It does have indexes. It has anything, everything, but it is not hard code or very rigid like the SQL DB. How are we going to scale while using this DB? How are we going to achieve that scalability at this point of time? Number one option is that you already have the option of auto scale in order to scale your throughput by using the RUs in the portal itself. So you can use the auto scale option. If you want tips that how can you achieve scalability, what is the best practice, then I would say that plan your partition. That is why I'm continuously focusing on the partition key, because it is very important that you set the partition key in order to get the maximum out of your databases. If your partition key is well planned, then you are going to consume less space by setting the logical partition limit. And you are setting your collections properly, that every collection of yours is using the partition key. So you can extract the data out of it. I need the salary of XYZ with the employee ID this, where employee ID is equal to this. We all know all these queries. I need to know the medical report of the employee where the employee ID is equal to this. So that this was your partition key. And in this way, you can allocate enough throughput, scale like a boss. By using your planning the partition properly, your Cosmos DB is taking all the pain on itself. What you have to do, you only have one duty here, that plan your partition key, set your collections properly, and everything will be managed in the back end. Then you don't need to worry what is happening. You just have to pay for the RUs that you are using. Use cases. Mega companies are using Cosmos DB. Now you need to understand that they are doing it for some reason. They are not doing it for no reason. Microsoft Office, Skype, Azure Active Directory, Xworks, MS Messenger, all of these are using Cosmos DB for one certain reason, because Cosmos DB is owned by Microsoft. The many companies are also using the DynamoDB, which is owned by AWS, Amazon Web Services. But for the Cosmos DB, these are the major use cases that we need to understand, and we need to realize the importance by admitting the fact that these companies are having massive data, and every second, every minute, every day, the data is increasing. So if these companies have adopted this Cosmos DB, it will be something amazing behind it. Some questions will come into your mind. So question number one is that how are we going to have the backups? As I say, that all you have to do is to plan your partition key properly. The rest of the job will be done with the help of Microsoft Cosmos DB itself. So the Cosmos DB is taking the backup of data every 4 hours, and latest two data backups have been stored. I was continuously thinking in my head that what sort of example I can give here when it comes to performance and availability. So all of us, or most of us, are using WhatsApp, and 99% of us will know that WhatsApp takes the backup at 2 a.m. at night. What is the reason behind it? Because when WhatsApp is taking the backup, the application stops working. It means the application is not available at that time, and the performance is not there. They have set the time to 2 a.m. because most of us are sleeping. But in fact, that our new generation, they are not sleeping at 2 a.m. So we all know, or 90% of us know, that they are taking the backup at that time. Some people set their backup on a weekly basis, but most of us are doing that on daily basis. But with Cosmos DB, you are not going to face that performance latency or unavailability. How can I restore? Let me share a scenario with you. You hire a new employee in your company, or you are a new employee, and you suddenly press delete or did some operation. I don't know what happened, and the database went away. It means that now your company no longer has the data which they have been storing for a very long time. What happened in that case? So Microsoft is at your back right now. You can contact Azure support. Azure is basically the Microsoft's portal from where you have been using the Cosmos DB. You can contact the Azure support within the 8 hours, and they will help you to recover the latest data that is available on their end, because we know that they are taking the two backups after every 4 hours. Can I have my own backup? Yes, you can. This is your right. You can also use the Microsoft backup will be there anyway, you are using it or not. But you can also have your own backup by using Azure Data Factory and migrating the data periodically, whatever time you set, like daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and store it into the storage of your own choice. You can store it in specific storage accounts, whatever you want. You can play with it, but always keep in mind that you have to pay whatever you are using.